You are listening to Something Rather Than Nothing. Creator and host Ken Vellante. Editor and producer Peter Bauer.
This is Ken Vellante with Something Rather Than Nothing podcast, and really excited this episode to have Hardlineray. Ray does he's a great illustrator. I encountered him on Instagram, and one of the things I described to Ray about his images and his art, it just seemed to have this kind of like, there's just this incredible energy to what was presented, and I've seen some of your work, Ray, with a beautiful depiction of Iron Giant, Ghost Rider, and of course some recent images you've had of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. Ray, want to thank you to Something Rather Than Nothing podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Ken. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's a bit of a build up there. Let's go back, Ray. Tell us what you were like when you were younger. I mean, were you always interested in, I don't know, comic books, fantasy, illustrating? What were you like?
I was a rambunctious kid. I got into a lot of trouble. I didn't really like cause trouble, but I mean, I was kind of like a sort of Dennis the Menace type. But also, pretty creative as well as destructive at the same time. I wanted to build, things and, create things. And I think that was like more of my ideal, like longevity. And also, I was not without a lot of like culture in my household, especially with pop culture. So being influenced like by that and arts in general, to elaborate, comics was definitely like the high point. As a kid, old grocery stores, comic book racks, like at the checkout, had to hit those racks up and grab a couple of books, grab a couple of issues, get fascinated by the art, even try to mimic the art, sadly, in the comic book by using a ballpoint ink pen. Yeah. I still actually retain some of those old books, but I don't think any of them are something I can write home about, to pay for a brand new house or college tuition, for kids and stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. I know. Well, and I could tell when you're mentioning, with the comic book racks, right? And that means something very special to you. It means something very special to me and very particular. But yeah, at the grocery store and finding those. And I had a guest on recently. Her name's Kathy Camper. Her episode's going to be coming out. And one of the artists that illustrates her stuff, Raul III, he talked about it, is that, those comic book racks, that was his museum, right? That was his museum. So comic books, very important for you from a young age. Is that right, Ray?
Yeah, definitely. Completely part of my upbringing. Pop culture, again, in general, comedy too. I totally, count that in as being a character, because I love comedy. It was silly. I was a kind of a goofy kid growing up. Depending on who you talk to, you probably see that now. And others would probably totally vouch that, and say probably this one way or another. But cross-reference with me, and I'll let you know if it's all lies or if it's all true.
So who's the greatest stand-up comic of all time?
Oh man. I mean, can you really have one?
Yes. I think you can.
You know what? Full disclosure, favorites in any category or in any genre of things is really, really difficult for me to just put to the forefront. But I'll tell you, the first person that comes to mind is let's see. and I don't want to butcher his name, George Carlin.
Yeah, sure.
George Carlin comes to mind, as well as one of those comedians, in the forefront. And yeah. I mean, so I mean, if I have to, I mean, there's countless others I can totally say and talk about, but we can say, let's just say George Carlin for now. How about that?
Yeah. Thanks. I put you on the spot with that one. Hey,
I was man, it's all good.
Hey, so Ray, one of the questions I'd like to get at a little bit as far as what you like to look at art and entertainment, and you mentioned in popular culture, comedy and in comic books. What for you as far as what you've created? I know artists a lot of times can kind of create little things and tinker. I mean, do you have a realm within as far as creating art or more deeply enjoying art? Kind of what are your top forms? Like things like painting, music. Like what's your top go-to, or you just kind of you're interested in a lot of different types. What do you land on?
Well, let's see. As far as what I do personally, or what I'm inspired by, or a little bit of.
Let's say what you're inspired by.
What I'm inspired by, all of it, man. If I wasn't drawing or doing a visual illustration, I think I would go into acting, and also music. I think those two really harmonize, and reach people on a whole lot of levels than visual arts. I think the connection is still the same from between like the artist and the audience. That there is the fact of the matter that there is a connection. Period. But yeah, I'm inspired by music. I'm inspired by other artists, visually who do music, who do acting. Movies also is pretty inspiring, across the board. Just yeah, all of it just really, I know, it mesmerized me, and
yeah.
I'd like to interpret that on paper, on canvas, or whatever is in front of me, and whatever tools are really available. I primarily work traditional. So with pencils, I think pencils can be as broad as a painting, or as any other medium, but translate something different in its own way. And with the inspiration just coming from, other comic book artists and other illustrators and musicians and actors. And, it's so much out there, so much variety that, that can, it just comes to the table, and, you get jazzed about it, and, you see something, on screen, and you're like, man, wow, that would make for like a really good outfit, in the case of a fashion designer, or that would really make for a good comic, or a t-shirt, or a song behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ray, big question. There's a few big questions on the program that I like to ask and kind of get your perspective. A big foundational one is, I just wondered from your opinion and thoughts, what is art?
Art is to the person who is conducting the art, in my humble opinion, and that can be determined by who's doing it. And then also, if we're talking in the means of making money, that can be determined by the person who said that yes, this banana stuck to a wall by duct tape is artistic and it's worth a lot of money.
Right.
And that's another question, like, well, within itself, like, I don't know, like, man, it's loaded. It's loaded.
Well,
That question is loaded, and I was trying to think about this for about a week or so, and just contemplate like with the magic bullet, question, and just wow your audience. But I'm not gonna even try it anymore.
No, hey Ray, I never answer it. I've been doing these 50-something episodes. No, it's cool. No, and I like the elements. I think in your response, what is the intent of the artist? Is it based on how the audience receives it, right? Like where is it? And I think with art, there's I heard somebody reference there was a famous decision around trying to define pornography, and the definition after tons of litigation and arguments came down to it when you see it, right? That's as good as they could get on the definition. A lot of people say art's like that, right? So it's like, I'm trying to describe it to you right now with words. I can't really do it, but if we're both staring at this painting and we both can't talk for 5 minutes, then it's probably art.
True.
So so I mean it's just kind of like different ways to approach it. A question that's related to that, Ray, that I was wondering from your perspective is the role of art right now, and whether that's changed. And by that I mean with the pandemic and the kind of like huge changes that result from that, like in society and in creating things, but also within some of the social upheavals, obviously that we're experiencing in seeing. Do you think that the role of art itself, you as an artist, that has changed right now, or you think it's kind of like what it's always been?
That's a good question. I would say, in my best opinion, in my own personal experience, with the current state of affairs of this year, I have been triggered, probably more so than inspired, to create certain type of forms of art. You were going back to what you were saying when you had mentioned Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. There have been many unlawful, wrongful deaths of people, that has happened. Some that may seem more tragic than others. With Floyd in particular, I feel like seeing that video was so much in your face and up close and personal. People couldn't help but talk about it, or couldn't help but do something in general about it. Whether that's protests, starting funds, getting awareness out, doing art, period. And it's so very necessary, and art has always been a very powerful message, in times of a crisis, of a pandemic more so. And I'm seeing artists, make light of situations, and rightfully so, given to politics, for example. That's always been like, politics have always been like, been put on as a satire, and have been a great tool, to express a basic, broke down, ideal or factual situation of our government, and some have paid for it. I go back to, I think it was probably a few years back, in France, there was a specific like comic book strip, and then touched on some terrorists or something or other. I can't remember exactly what.
I remember that controversy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, with the cartoons.
Yeah. and even like he paid for his life. So there's definitely like somewhat is hitting home. The message is getting out there. And sometimes it goes like with an unfortunate cost, and sometimes it is worth having to say something than not having to say anything at all. And I've never been that type of artist. I think with Breonna Taylor, and I think with George Floyd, I can't really explain like why those two out amongst many have been slain wrongfully stood out. And it wasn't for like popularity, it wasn't for money, it wasn't to jump on the bandwagon, although it just happened to be in that climate. And as I don't know, for me, when I see something that I want to express and I want to see it in fruition, like on paper and out of my head, I'm gonna put it out there. And I'm going to at least utilize it like to show my support, because I grieve for that family. I grieve, for black culture, as a Black American, and just for people, general who have to suffer through that. And as far as like the pandemic goes, I've had like a lot of like visual ideas, for that, and I still want to put to paper. And with that being said, art in the current climate, it gets us through a lot. We deal with so much. We have to take time away, from the chaos, and some of us, who are not effective, literary writers, poets, storytellers, journalists. I do my expression best by visually telling you. If we're not face to face, then you'll see it in my pictures.
Sure.
And
yeah.
Hopefully you get what I'm trying to interpret, or you come up with your own interpretation. And I like that too. I'm always curious, across the board with my work, what people, kind of make of it, because honestly, I don't have an answer for it when I do it or once I make it. I just put two and two together, and then it's almost kind of sort of like a test. And it's not, in something that means to be, malicious, or against the viewer or anyone who sees my work and likes it or don't like it, whatever. But there's a psychological, side to everything, and especially now we are connecting, to today's world, and how it makes us feel.
Yeah, and I appreciate your comments on that. I mean, and part of the thing is, when I started asking that question, back in March, and I became, just deeply interested, because I was experiencing myself of like, how do you, like, what do you create? How do you create, and what do you create? Like when I mentioned this in a recent episodes, when stuff was going on with the podcast, what was going on with the pandemic, I'm like, you question like what it is that you're creating, right? And it's a good process. What am I doing with my time? Is this useful? Is this
right?
And so I really appreciate your comments within that, because for me it's been kind of the psychological reaction to difficulty, right? To difficulty, and so. Got a couple more questions. Another big one, another tough one too. Sorry there, Ray.
This is great. I went into this just trying to prep as much as possible, but at this point I'm pretty much like I'm winging it, and I kind of feel like I could talk with you like all day on these topics.
Same here. Same here, Ray.
Just putting it out there. Thank you.
All right. That's good. Hey, all right. So, one of the big questions is, who or what made you who you are?
Going back to your original question, I would have to say again, it came with pop culture, but I would have to give initial gratitude, to my mother. And as cliche as that sound, as if I'm, appearing on stage and receiving an award, it really had a lot to do with my mom. My mom turned me on to a lot of multicultural arts, anything and everything, you name it. I mean, it was music, it was movies, it was comics, it was it was paintings, it was plays, it was, all that and then some. So yeah, she really did it for me in making me the nerd geek, outsider, mutant, you know, Chucky, whatever. I don't know. You want to call it, because she was a Trekkie herself, and we watch, that stuff like for days, and Star Wars is my thing, and that was something, we watched for days. So yeah, if I had to say, I would say it's the things that I love, the person that I love dearly, and yeah, our world, our experience, in life too, for better or for worse. I mean, I think we can all agree that, that shapes a human being. And I mean, to be quite frank with you, there's stuff I'm still trying to figure out, and feel comfortable, with and confident.
Yeah.
So, just full disclosure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think on the who or what made you, I think the Mama Coalition, that's 100% correct answer. If you say Mama, it's 100%.
Thank you. Thank you. For all you out there that want to claim like, oh, he's mama's boy, oh, mama's like, you know what? F off. When you have a partner in crime, and they're like doing due diligence and they're beyond like the parenthood or whatever, and if they're not like the biological parent, but they were something that just kept you out of a lot of like BS. Because I'm from Chicago originally, and I think without if I didn't have these tools. I mean, I have my other family members too that help, and my friends like along the way. But if I didn't have her, just initiating planting that seed, I wouldn't appreciate the things that I do today. I wouldn't appreciate like the life that I have today, and be into the stuff that I'm into today.
Yeah, and thanks for mentioning that, Ray, too, on Chicago. I think, I got to double check my stats, but I know you might be about our fifth guest, originally from Chicago, guys. Sean Wynn, Avery R. Young, Vico Alvarez Vega, and so hey, I'm representing. I used to live in Madison, Wisconsin, so there might be a reason why I'm trying to represent Chicago the right way too. So
yeah.
All right, Ray. Big question again.
Yeah.
Why is there something rather than nothing?
Why is there something rather than nothing? Because without something, we will literally have nothing. Nothing is boring. Having something is always interesting rather than having nothing. And even when you have nothing, you still have something.
Yeah, I like that. I think you got it right there. I think we stop right. Hey, Ray, who are your top comic book characters, villains or heroes?
Get out of here! You got my top
Yeah.
comic book characters.
Yeah.
Are we going by number, or you just want me to ramble off?
Just ramble some off.
Ramble some off.
Ones. Yeah.
Batman, Daredevil, Black Panther, Doctor Doom, Magneto, Joker, Storm, Colossus.
Love Colossus.
What's that?
Love Colossus.
Love Colossus. Yeah. No, fellow artists. Got to give it up to Colossus. Kyle Rayner, the Green Lantern Corps. What's up? Let's see. Who else?
I liked your Ghost Rider that you did recently. That was just badass. A badass character, badass depiction.
Thank you. Yeah, Ghost Rider. Has a place in my heart. I've always liked that visual aesthetic of that character. A good homie of mine. Want to give a shout out to Matthew Clark, who is also here locally, a professional comic book artist, brilliant draftsman, designer. Recently, we're posting up on his Instagram his version of a female Ghost Rider. So that definitely sparked something for me. But yeah, Ghost Rider. It's always fun to do, especially ink-wise and just visual aesthetics all around. The flamer behind like the skull, basic anatomy, working against an effect that's not so basic, very difficult to pull off in different mediums.
Yeah,
love Ghost Rider. I love that. Like motorcycles a lot too. Wasn't allowed to ride one, but hey, living vicariously.
Yeah, I know the motorcycle is always, it's always a thing. It's perennial. It's always attractive, but then there's this, voice in the back of your head is, I know myself. I want to keep myself alive.
Right. Right. But if my head could spontaneously burst into flames and retain my skull,
yes,
then I would heavily consider riding a motorcycle on a regular basis.
Then you're doing the 101. Then you're doing the 101 all the way down, up and down the coast. So. Oh
yeah. Because why not?
Hey, Ray, I want we're talking to Hardlineray, illustrator, artist. Really great chatting with you. Hey, Ray, where do listeners? Where can they find your stuff? I don't know whether it's commissions, seeing the works you've done in the past. Where do they look to get in touch with you and your art?
Well, you can always find me on Instagram, and I am Hardlineray at Instagram, on Instagram.com. You can also shoot me an email under that same handle at my Gmail account as well. And so I'll have a website up soon and other ways to connect. But for now, those would be the main.
That's great. Thank you so much for that. And we'll get the word out, about the program on our various, Instagram and Facebook. I do want to say, Ray, it's been, it's one of those things where I've been following your art for a little while, and then having a chance to connect with you in chat with you. I really enjoyed the time here. I appreciate you.
Likewise.
Yeah, absolutely. Spending the time here. And I do hope, we have a follow-up visit. I'll contact you again, down the road, and maybe we could do a little bit more like, just like comic specific, geek out on comics, just those type of questions for a bit. Right. And maybe, yeah.
By all means, I'm putting you in a book. You're already there.
All right. All right.
You don't even got to worry about that. You had me hello. I mean, this is Tom Cruise. Hey. I'm Renee Zellweger. Let's make this happen.
I appreciate that because booking in general tends to be a little bit of a labor, so I do appreciate that.
I hear.
All right. Hardlineray, great pleasure to chat with you. Everybody, certainly, if you're on Instagram, check out Hardlineray. Incredible, dynamic, energetic images. Check out what he's doing, and hit him up about some of that art. And Ray, again, thanks so much, and look forward to chatting soon.
Most definitely. Thank you so much, Ken, and I appreciate you having me on your show.
Absolutely. Take care, Ray.
You take care.
Bye now.
You are listening to Something Rather Than Nothing.